It's mid-October in Southeast Michigan, and if you've been thinking of making the jump into the no-till gardening style, a style of gardening that works for you and creates less work in the garden throughout the season, fall is the perfect time to do it. The best part of setting up this no-till system is everything we need to do it is free. Nature is giving us a gift because she's getting ready for winter. She's dumping leaves, we still have green grass, and when it comes to no-till gardening, mulching is important. I'm going to show you guys some of the things I'm doing around my garden to get set up for winter. So when spring comes next year, I don't have to do any tilling and I'm just ready to start planting. Whether you have an established garden like I have or you're starting fresh, the first step's going to be to go through and any perennial weeds like thistles, you want to get them out. Weeds that aren't actually perennials can stay in the ground because they're going to help us out in the future. Once the weeds are gone, we're ready for the next step. Here's where you got to make a choice. If you are starting fresh, like say maybe your lawn or something, you want to start a garden, you can either place cardboard down, which will kill off the grass and it'll rot under the ground, or you can till it. Tilling to get your no-till garden system going is perfectly fine. With all those perennial weeds gone, it's time to start pumping organic matter into our garden. And the great news is there is no correct way to do this. Everything you need is free, and you don't have to do it all at once. At this point, the traditional way would be to lay down cardboard first and then put all your organic matter on top of that. But I added an extra step because I think it helps out a lot. For my first layer, I actually came through here right on the bare soil. I've been putting fresh grass clippings. It's a really good nitrogen source. So when we come back later and put cardboard on top of this, it's going to help that cardboard break down. And also, when you put the cardboard down, it attracts a lot of worms. And you will find that the worms really love to eat this grass. In a previous video, I mentioned that worms are nature's tiller. So giving them something to eat underneath the cardboard is going to help us out in the long run. My trees are starting to dump leaves in here too, which is also an added bonus. At this point, this is when I take the cardboard and put it over these fresh grass clippings. Now this step is optional. You do not need to use cardboard. Cardboard is really good worm food, and cardboard is also free. So much cardboard goes into landfills. So if you can get cardboard and pump it into your garden, you're helping out the ecosystem by feeding the worms, and you're preventing something that has a great use from going into a landfill. When I put these borders in, I put cardboard underneath it. When you set your cardboard, you're going to want to make sure you overlap so there's no exposed gaps in there because that's where weeds are going to come through. This cardboard laying on here is going to kill off any weeds that we left in here, and by springtime, all this cardboard will be broken down. When you're putting these layers down, it's really good practice to keep everything moist. We just had some big rains the past 2 days, so everything's already wet. Normally you'd go through here and you'd wet down this cardboard too, but we got more rain in the forecast. I know it's going to get wet, so I'm just going to move on to the next step of coating this. We're going to throw another layer on here now. The great news is there are many different options of what you can use for this. I prefer grass clippings because they're free from cutting my grass. And right now, with the leaves falling, I have an added bonus. I have leaves mixed in with my grass clippings, which is even better. Just use whatever you have. If you have hay or straw, doesn't matter. Anything organic, all good. Coat the next layer. My favorite part about fall is when I cut my grass. It has all these leaves mixed in, so they kind of get shredded up too. But we have a really nice mixture of browns and greens in here. And we know when you mix browns and greens, you get composting action. So that's going to help this break down a lot faster and even further. And like I said before, if you don't have enough organic matter to fill your whole garden up, don't feel bad. Throw in what you can. Some people talk that you have to go almost 2 foot thick when it comes to mulching for the no-till system. You don't have to do that. You can do a little bit at a time. It's going to break down gradually and pump nutrients into your garden. That being said, use as much as you can. As stuff becomes available, you cut your grass, come in your garden and just toss it on the surface. If you compost at home, like you should be, this is also a great time to take that finished compost and just spread it around. Don't have to cover the whole thing up. This has a lot of microbes in it. They're going to help break this down. So just use what you got, toss it in. Old potting soil is also great if you have that laying around. You can cut off your plants and keep the whole root system in place. This is a great addition. And don't forget to take them roots off and throw those in there too. Looking pretty good. Threw some more grass clippings in there because I have them. Minus the potting soil and the compost, this is what I've been doing throughout my whole entire garden. You can see I got a lot of it done with these grass clippings. And you can kind of see my edges here where the horseradish is still standing and I haven't finished that yet. But like I said, you don't have to do it all at once. As stuff becomes available, just do little pieces at a time. So what we've been doing is kind of similar to lasagna gardening, except for we're not doing everything all at once. I see a lot of the videos and people come in, they got these giant sheets of construction paper, cardboard, tons of compost and stuff. I really don't have all that stuff in bulk. That's why I'm saying just do a little bit at a time. And having actual perfect layers of material isn't that important. As long as you continue to feed organic matter into the soil, that's all that matters. So as this breaks down over the winter and throughout next season, you want to come in here and anytime you get stuff, toss it in here and keep feeding it. Jim Kowaleski actually has a market garden where it's 100% grass fed and he does not have to do a lot of weeding or watering. I did not see those videos until recently, but it is something I've been implementing in my garden for several months now, and I noticed the difference almost immediately. If you want to cut back on watering and weeding, two things we hate a lot with our garden, go ahead and try the grass-fed method. You're killing two birds with one stone. You're feeding your no-till garden, you're feeding those worms, the tillers, natural tillers, and you're insulating the soil so it can retain moisture and all those microbes beneath the soil and the fungi, they can thrive. And that's basically all there is to it. No more tilling, you don't need to till. You're going to come back in the spring, this is all going to be broken down, you'll still have some stuff left. But before I go, I do have to talk about planting. Over time, this method is going to create some really good new soil for you, but that could take years. So what I did with my terrible soil was I just parted the grass a little bit, and if I was transplanting something, I'd make the hole maybe 2 or 3 times as big as what I was planting, and I'd fill different amendments around that plant so the roots could still spread out, like compost, grass clippings, stuff that's going to feed the plant. And after the plants were in the ground for a while, you start to notice that the good microbes come in, start working, and the roots from your plants will actually start spreading out, and it will break up some of that bad soil. So the more you plant throughout here, heavy planting, you're going to be fixing your soil while doing that. And I'm talking hard, nasty, dead clay soil that I was planting into. Kind of think of it like planting in pots, except for it's a clay pot surrounding your plant, and you're just planting it in the ground. After a while, you'll find you don't need to do that anymore. You're going to have good fertile soil all over the place, and you'll be able to plant anywhere you want. Just keep pumping organic matter into your garden and let those microbes and fungi beneath the soil do their work. This is the easy way of gardening, so I hope you give it a shot.